It is time for us to digicross all of our Xros Heart Digimon together to make Shoutmon Cross 7. Digimon fans, welcome back, and today we'll be showcasing the Shoutmon Cross Heart deck with the brand new Shoutmon Cross 7. With the support we got from BT11, this deck has now a reliable and powerful level 6 Digimon for the deck. Shoutmon Cross 3 was also brought into the game as it greatly boosts the searching and consistency for the entire archetype. Even with the restriction of Shoutmon Cross 4 down to 1, it is not enough to hold this deck back, as we have seen it perform very well with the current format and from Nationals too. Of course, in order to bring out Shoutmon Cross 7, you're also going to be needing Omni Shoutmon and Z Greymon for its Digicross requirements, which also came out from BT11 Dimensional Phase. Like always, I'll be showing you guys the core combos and how to play this brand new version of the deck, but let's start off with the deck profile first. I'm also super excited to announce a new feature on my channel where I launched my very first ever YouTube membership called the Avault Club. By joining, you will have access to exclusive perks and contents that regular viewers don't have. Perks include the Avault Club membership badge, and the best part is that you'll be able to see members only community posts featuring my first draft deck profiles even before the video comes out. You will see more updates by me for every deck profile released, and even updated deck lists and adjustments with all the lists. Your comments and questions will also have priority replies from me. So what are you guys waiting for? Click on the join button right now. Thank you all so much for the support, and I look forward to engaging with you guys. Alright, Digi-Egg cards, just like before, 4 Pikmons is really all you need, and that's what you want to always prioritize on, because when attacking, if it has a Cross Heart Digimon as traits, you get to draw one with the Inheritable, and draw power is always going to be your priority with this Digi-Egg, and it's always great, so that's it. Okay, for the rookies, you definitely want to have the 4 copies of this Shoutmon. The 4 costs to on-play, but by on-playing it, you get a lot of value because you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, you get to add yourself 1 Digimon card and 1 Tamer card with Cross Heart in their traits, and very easily in this deck, you can always be hitting 2 cards with its searching capabilities, which is why this is really good. And of course, like always, on deletion save, with its Inheritable, when you do your Digicrossing combos and such, it gives your Shoutmon rush, which is really, really important because it lets you attack immediately. And yeah, 4 copies is a must. The other rookies you also need is 4 copies of Sparrowmon. This one's just really good because they can always Digivolve for 0 on top of a Cross Heart Digi-Egg. And all turns, as long as you have a Digimon or Tamer with Cross Heart or Twilight in their traits, this Digimon gets extra 3000 DP, and always having it a 5k level 3 beater is really, really good. And the DP buff is all turns, it saves as well, and it gives your Cross Heart top end combos with the reboot Inheritable, which is also really important, and this is the card you want to see as often in the early games too. The other card you want to see as soon as possible as well is the Starmons in particular. This one doesn't do too much with its regular effect, it just has the save, but of course you can Digivolve it on top of the Pikmons for 0, and it gives the Inheritable for your Crossheart combos of when attacking. If it has Shoutmon in its name, you get to draw 1 card, and once again, drawing more cards is always very nice, so you definitely want to see 4 copies of this one to rush down your opponents. To round off for the rookies, I do run the one-off tech of Shoutmon and Star Sword. It has a very interesting first effect because this Digimon is also treated in its name as Shoutmons and Starmons. However, keep in mind, I'm pretty sure you can only treat it as one or the other at a time. It can't treat as both at the same time, meaning that if you were to Digicross with a Shoutmon and a Starmons as sort of its material, you can't use this as a one and as a 2 birds 1 stone type of thing. So keep in mind, you can only choose one or the other at a time. If you choose to use Shoutmon, then it'll be Shoutmon. If you choose it to become Starmons, then it has to be Starmons. Anyways, it has material save 1, but also on play, it lets you minus 3000 DP to one of your opponent's Digimon, and also if you Digicross with 2, you get to delete with your opponent's Digimon 2000 DP or less, which is really good because it's very good at removing smaller rookies, especially like Floodgate rookies. This deck does get hard countered by the Floodgate rookies that prevents you from reducing any play costs, and this guy comes in clutch and great as well. It helps out very nicely. It does Digicross requirement is having 1 Shoutmon and 1 Starmons, but you can use one or the other. So yeah, really nice clutch card that I like to have for sure as my last rookie. Did you guys know that Shoutmon is still not yet at its maximum power level? It has a final form which is also called Shoutmon X7 Superior Mode, and it will be coming in BT12 really soon. And there's also another way to play Shoutmon, which is with the Mervermon, which has a completely different build, but very consistent and very strong and powerful too. So if you guys are Shoutmon fans and want to see me cover those videos down the road and those deck profiles, then be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell right now to stay tuned. Also give this video a like while you're at it because it really helps, and I greatly appreciate the support from all of you. That's it for our level 3s. Let's talk about our level 4s. Of course, 4 copies of Durulamon, on play, minusing 3000 DP to something. Also another really good removal type of card to get rid of the smaller rookie stuff, especially the ones that hard counter this deck in particular. But also it has the inheritable of, while this Digimon has Shoutmon is named, all your opponents' security Digimon gets minus 2000 DP, effectively like giving an extra 2k buff to your Digimon, to your Shoutmon, to the top end cross combos, which is kind of nice when you swing into security. And then, of course, we still have the 4 copies of Ballistamon. This is your blocker, really great, and it gives the inheritable piercing, so very nice card that you also want to see as soon as possible. Now, for the new additions of more of the other level 4s, we have Shoutmon Cross 3 here. This came out in BT11, and this card is super good for the deck and does a lot of things, which is really nice. First, it has Material Save 2. Now, at the start of your turn, you get to delete this Digimon to gain 1 memory. And also on play, you get to search the top 3 cards of your deck. You get to add 2 cards with Cross Heart and or Blue Flare in their traits among them to your hand, and then you place the rest at the bottom. So always hitting 2 targets, basically kind of like your Shoutmon red rookie one, but being able to search like this very effectively and efficiently is why this card is really good. It digicrosses -2, whether you use a Shoutmon, Ballistamon, and Durulamon. You can make its cost 1, which is very memory efficient, but if not, sometimes costing it 3, and by only digicrossing with 2 materials is totally okay as well, because once again, this guy can search you pieces, find it in turbo, and this is why you definitely need to maximize this at a 4 of no matter what. And then, of course, arguably one of the best cards in the deck, which got unfortunately restricted down to 1, we have Shoutmon Cross 4. Really great card, Material Save 2, on play, draw 2, end of attack. You get to place all the Digivolution sources under this Digimon to one of your tamers, and unsuspend that tamer, and then delete this Digimon as well at the same time, so you can recycle your combos again. Really good card. Exactly like Cross 3, it requires Shoutmon, Ballistamon, Durulamon, but this time it will have the addition of Starmons, so that you can effectively again play this card for 1 if you optimize all your Digicross materials in one go, which is ideally what you want to go for this particular card. But yeah, 1 of is super good still. And then last but not least, to round up for all the level 4s, I still like the WoW tech of the one Shoutmon King version. This is really good because its also name is treated as Shoutmon for your Digicross plays, but also on play you get to return 1 Digicross requirement card from your trash back to your hand to grab anything you need. And if you would Digicross this turn, this Digimon will replace 1 of your Digicross requirements, so that you can be basically like a wild card, become any name that you need to sort of fulfill the maximum Digicrossing optimizing combo. It has Material Save 1, but it also has Digicross -2, and you get to use 1 of any Digimon card with Digicross with Cross Hearts and its traits to -2 cost. So effectively this guy's a 3 cost. And that's not all, because it has an inheritable. Your turn, this Digimon has Shoutmon its name, it gains extra 2000 DP, which this card alone does a lot, and a 1-off tech is just super nice, super good for the deck. That's it for our level 4s. Let's talk about our level 5s. We still play Shoutmon Cross 5 right here, which is a really good card for the deck. We actually don't need to play as many of them anymore, because we have more reliable top end boss Digimon in this deck, but this Digimon itself is still super good, and he does a lot of things because he has security +1, he has blocker, Material Save 3, and can be Digicross -2 with 5 different materials, which would be Shoutmon, Ballistamon, Durulamon, Starmons, and alongside with Sparrowmons. And putting all their inheritables together along with this card, you can do so many things, and it's just a really powerful card, and you can effectively play it for 0 as well, is why this card is really good. But again, we don't really need as much, because we now need to start making room for more materials when we get into a Cross 7, which we will talk about in a bit. But we still have the 2 brand new Omni Shoutmons that is red. It digivolves for 3 on top of level 4 that is red, or that is blue for 3 cost. And otherwise, you can Digivolve directly for 4 on top of a Shoutmon. Now, when you would Digicross, the name of this Digimon is also considered as Shoutmon, so a lot of name replacements to make sure that you always have Shoutmon, which is really good. When Digivolving, you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4,000 DP or less. If Shoutmon is in its Digivolution sources, you get to delete 2 of your opponent's Digimon with 4,000 DP or less. You really actually want to be Digivolving this card generally anyways, but sometimes it does come up and it's nice to have those effects. On deletion, you get to save, you get to place this card at the bottom of your tamers, but really important because of its inheritable, and when you do Digicross in your big combos, this Digimon has Shoutmon in its name, it gains security +1, really great for the aggression overall, and yeah, definitely a really nice addition to the deck too. Then that's it for level 5s. Let's talk about level 6s. We then have Z-Greymon right here. Z-Greymon is also another very important piece. First and foremost, it digivolves on top of a level 5 that can be red or blue for 3 costs. Otherwise, you can digivolve for 2 on top of Metal Greymon, but we don't play Metal Greymon in this deck, so we don't use that effect ever in this particular build. When digivolving and suspend this Digimon, then if you have a card that is Blue Flare or Cross Heart in its traits in this Digimon sources, and your opponent has 2 or more Digimon, you get to gain 2 memory back, so kind of effectively paying very little, which is nice on deletion save. But mainly, we really play this card for its inheritable during your opponent's turn. While this Digimon has Blue Flare in its traits, it gains blocker, and giving like our top end blocker is going to be definitely what we're going for sure. So 2 is really all we need. So now let's move into the big boss Digimon right here, Cross 7. Really cool design, really like it. I love the alt art. It looks like a Gundam, really realistic. So huge shout out to the artist, one of my favorite artists, Naochika, who drew this. But yeah, really cool. And this is the main reason you have to play your Z-Greymons and your Omni Shoutmons in the deck, is because of this brand new boss Digimon. It requires you to have Omni Shoutmon and Z-Greymon as one of its Digicrossing material requirements. You digivolve for 6 costs on top of a level 5 red Digimon, but otherwise it can interestingly digivolve for 4 on top of a level 6 blue Digimon. Now, first and foremost, him itself has Rush, so that you can, when you place Omni Shoutmon underneath, it has Rush anyway, so you can swing and do really cool stuff. It has Material Save 4. Now, on play, you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon's DP. But also, all turns, for every 2 cards in this Digivolution sources of this Digimon, it gains extra 1000 DP, and at full combo with crossing with all your materials where you have Omni Shoutmon, Z-Greymon, Ballistamon, Darulamon, Starmons, and Sparrowmons, that's like 6 materials, you effectively get to optimally play this card for 2 costs only when you have all the pieces, and when you have all those 6 pieces underneath too. Shoutmon Cross 7 can go all the way up to 16 KDP with its own effect and with its own base, which is really strong. Going into something that just comes out, you can pop something, and later in the combos, I'll show you guys all the inheritables you get to rack up and you get to stack upon on Cross 7 to do a whole lot of crazy plays, and yeah, lots of really cool stuff as you put them all together overall. So really important card. A 3 copy of is nice enough. You want to see it often, but not super often enough because you don't want to break too early on. And yeah, this has definitely nicely worked out for me. Then to sum up for all the rest, we do have one level 7. I do like to tech in one Def X. Some of you guys may not like Def X in the deck or may not have access, then totally fine. There's a lot of other card suggestions where I'll throw in later on to tell you guys what you can actually play instead of Def X. But as we all know, and as like I said in all my videos, Def X is a really good card. We all know why it's really good, and it's really important because in certain matchups, this card is essentially free and it helps you turn the tables, changes the tide of the game sometimes, which is why this card is really good. That's it for all of our Digimon. Now let's finally showcase our tamers. Of course, you still have to play the 4 copies of Taiki because it is your on-play searcher, revealing the top 4 cards of your deck, adding 1 Cross Heart and its traits among them to your hand, and you get to place 1 Digimon card with Cross Hearts underneath this tamer afterwards too, to really help you cycle and get through your pieces very quickly. It lets you do your Digicross plays from underneath your tamers, which is why he's really important. And yeah, what else can I say about it? This is basically your heart and soul of the deck. Taiki is really important. Then we still have the 3 Akaris, great for playing Darulamon, great for drawing when you play anything and by suspending her. So, and like I mentioned earlier, draw power is always great, very fantastic, really needed for this deck to find your pieces. And then we have 3 copies of Zenjiro still. Zenjiro is very similar to Akari. Zenjiro lets you play Ballistamon. Sometimes when it comes out in security from Clutch, you can even quickly play Ballistamon and it can block that same turn, which is very nice. And mainly when you do have on play during your turn, you get to suspend him to gain a memory back to make it very efficient with anything that you do in this deck. Now, last but not least, we do have the brand new triple tamer Taiki, Kiriha, and Nene, which was introduced in BT11, and this card is just really, really good because at the start of your main phase, by placing one Digimon card with Cross Hearts or Blue Flameless traits from your hand under this tamer, you get to gain a memory and draw a card. Great synergy. It is a 4 cost. It is not a memory tamer, but it gives you a lot of value itself enough for this deck, which is very, very good. Its secondary effect is exactly the same effect as the second effects of Taiki, which lets you suspend this tamer and you can use Digicross from your tamers to do your Digicross plays. And this is just one of the best replacements, or the best new tamer card to have in addition to this deck, which is really, really good, 100%. And 3-off works very nicely. You guys can play 2 instead, really up to your personal preference. But yeah, this card, I think, is just really, really nice addition. Okay, so that's it for our 50 card main deck. Let's talk about some other cards you can actually play in the Xros Heart deck particularly, and there's a lot of different options and different cards you can definitely add in. First, you actually have this Shoutmon. Shoutmon's actually really nice because it's kind of like almost like a wild card as well, because on play, you get to add one Digimon with Digicross from your trash under one of your tamers, and then if you have a Darulamon and its name, or Darulamon and its Digivolution cards, you get to place up to 2 Digimon with Cross Hearts instead, so then you really get to sort of take some stuff that was deleted or that was from security battle or something like that and put it back underneath to cycle good resources, and a 1-off tech is not bad at all for this card. Next, there is Shoutmon DX. This is very interesting because it digicrosses for -3 with Omni Shoutmon and Z Greymon. However, him itself, its name, can be treated as a Omni Shoutmon and Z Greymon as well. Very similar to Shoutmon plus the Star Sword, and it has Material Save 2. On play, you get to delete something that your opponent has as 8,000 DP or less, and then one of your opponent's Digimon can't attack until end of the return as well. And then end of attack, by deleting this Digimon, you get to gain a memory back too. So pretty interesting card that you can definitely consider adding, but if you guys do choose to add it, you guys might have to be wary because your top end is going to get a lot larger. You get level 5s and level 6s are going to make it even clunkier for the deck, which you don't really want to see. So sometimes I see players actually play this instead of Omni Shoutmon, and it's really up to your preference on how many you want to juggle. You might want to play 1 or 2, but I wouldn't go more than 2 in the deck generally because of what it is. Then another really good card that you can play is Mervamon as a 1-off tech, which works very nicely. Now, arguably, if you're going to be playing Mervamon, it only makes sense for you to be playing some Ignite-mons in your deck too, so that you can maximize the efficiency of your Digicrossing. But I would even argue that there is a Merva Cross Heart version of this deck, which focuses mainly on Mervamon instead of Shoutmon Cross 7, and that becomes a whole different discussion for a completely different video. So if you guys are Shoutmon fans and want to see that me cover that deck profile particularly, which is a completely different build that focuses on Mervamon and Cross Hearts together, then be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that. But I'll leave that discussion and really up to you guys. And yeah, really here, you can play the 1-off Mervamon, and if you're going to be playing Ignite-mon, we're just going to continue that conversation into that deck profile anyways. So I'd rather leave it separate for a different day. Anyways, another tamers, you can still play Kiriha. Kiriha would still be really good because it is now replaced by Taiki, Kiriha, and Nene tamer, the triple tamer instead. But this one does give you guaranteed 3 memory at the start of your turn, so your opponent doesn't choke you out, and that is very, very nice. So a 1-off is not too bad, and you can juggle between the ratios. You can play 2 of the new white tamers and then 1 of Kiriha, and that works out very nicely too. And of course, by suspending this tamer, it lets you Digicross from underneath your tamers, is really what he's there for too. Then for some more removal options, the very typical stuff would be like the Fireball and the Crimson Blaze as always. Fireball to draw more cards, but also to delete something that's small that your opponent has that's on the board that could affect you. Crimson Blaze is just great for wide board removals in general. But over time, with all the new support that we got for the Xros Heart deck, we used to play these cards, but now we don't really need it as much anymore. But I still like to include them here as personal options for you guys who may want to add these, which are not bad too. Then speaking for more removal, we do see the occasional Loin K out of Stacto right here. Really one of the best yellow removal cards in the game. And you guys know that how powerful this card really is. But this card is actually more efficient if you were to play the Merva Cross Heart version, simply because you have more space to work with instead of all your top end Digimon. So that's another discussion that we'll bring in for that particular video. But you guys can definitely still play this if you really want to, because you do run yellow eggs anyways. And then last but not least, we do have to run Sunrise Buster. A little bit more difficult to achieve its requirement, but you do run enough yellow and red Digimon sources and tamers and stuff to sort of have this be very effective sometimes. And it does let you play a yellow or red tamer from your hand for free. And then in later game situations, when you rack up a lot of tamers, this can take out a really big Digimon, which is really, really nice for effectively 5 cost. And it is a very nice removal card still, but very situational at some times. It doesn't guarantee you the value during the early stages of the game, which is why I didn't include this in my deck, but I think it's still arguably a really good removal card for sure. Alright, that's it for all the cards I want to show you guys and talk about. Now let's teach you guys how to play this deck and the combo guide for the new Xros Heart Deck right here. Very similar to the old one anyways, simply because we just got newer support for top end combos. But for those who never really played it before, I'll teach you guys, don't worry. Usually, of course, you just hatch your egg and you really want to be digivolving your Starmons or your Sparrowmon on top of your Pikmon. If you see your Shoutmon, you usually really want to just hard play it for the 4 memory. It's totally fine, but because it lets you search for your tamers, it lets you search for your stuff, your Digimon, and just grab more pieces, which is going to be really, really important. But let's just move this aside for now. As soon as your Starmons and Sparrowmons, don't be afraid, just move up and you just want to start swinging. But keep in mind, make sure you do need to have a tamer established on board. Otherwise, you're getting no value from that whatsoever. Then don't do so. Always make sure that you have a tamer before you start swinging, because you're just foregoing your save mechanics, and it's a very common mistake that people do, and you don't want to forego any of your save mechanics. So of course, you want to be playing your Taikis when you can. As soon as you see your Taiki, go ahead and do so. Another really good early game card that you want to see is Taiki Kiriha Nene. This card is really good in the early game because it helps you cycle and turbo much faster into the pieces that you need. Seeing it in the later game is not as important and not as good anymore because you probably have all the pieces you need, but gaining the extra memory, being able to draw the card, and being able to digicross from your tamers is always very, very valuable. So you do want to establish those as soon as possible. Meanwhile, at the same time, you do want to be playing your Zenjiros and your Karis when you can, but really optimize them at the perfect situations when you do see their retrospective Digimon right there with Ballistamon and Darulamon. Otherwise, you're just playing them for nothing. But otherwise, Akari is just really great, giving you the draw power. Zenjiro is really good, giving you that memory back to be very memory efficient. So once again, really important, make sure you establish at least 1 tamer on the board before you start swinging like this. So once you do, then you can start mad swing. You swing, draw with Pikmons, lots of value. If you had Sparrowmons over it instead and you swing, that's totally fine. It survives the checks, then you just keep going after them over and over again, just like a typical Rookie Rush style. And same with Shoutmons. Don't need to think twice with your rookies, really. And at the same time, when you do play your Ballistamon and Darulamons, these guys, just go ahead and swing. Sometimes the only one you might think of not wanting to swing is Ballistamon because you want to block and want to stop some attacks, which can be really, really crucial to the game. But as soon as you just swing with these guys, you just keep saving them underneath your tamers over and over again as much as you can, because they're going to be important resources for you to play later on. And now once you save everything, you continue your searching adventure with the new card additionally, which is Cross 3, and it's just super good for the deck. Ideally, you want to be digicrossing it with at least 2 materials, ideally with 3, so you only pay very little. But otherwise, you know, you would put in your Shoutmon, your Ballistamon, and your Darulamon, which makes it only cost 1. And immediately you would get to search and find more pieces with it, which is why it's really good. Sometimes just crossing with only 2 materials is totally fine too, because then that means you will be paying 3 costs instead, and you can kind of manipulate the memory gauge that way and play around it. But otherwise, if you do have still your turn, go ahead and swing, and it has material save too, so you don't have to be worried about it being deleted anyways, because you're always getting your value back with these list cards in particular. And of course, what you're going to be wanting to find and what you're going to want to be looking for is definitely your Shoutmon Cross 7, your Z Greymon, and your Omni Shoutmons for the most part, and of course your Cross 5 that you can get into that combo play, which is always really nice. Now, what you want to do with Omni Shoutmon and Z Greymon is, once again, like I mentioned in deck profile, you rarely want to be digivolving these guys on top to sort of go for those combos, but you can if you really want to. If you see your opponent has good like potential removal, you can actually do digivolve here for 3 on top and then pop like 2 things that they have that's like 4k or less, can give you the value, and then eventually you can stack the Z Greymon on top afterwards and then sort of build your Cross 7 that way through the Digivolution. But that's not really the ideal way to do it. I'll show you guys what the ideal way of really is, because you want to continue swinging with your Shoutmons and whatever you can to chip away your opponent's security. And what you really want to be doing is using your Taiki Kyuuha Nene to basically put these guys underneath your Tamers to gain a memory and draw a card that way. If not, if you don't have Taiki Kyuuha Nene, that's totally fine. Keep them in your hand for situational plays that you need to do so. And let's just say your Shoutmon Cross 3 is deleted, and then you have like material sources like underneath here, like that. And this is when you have assembled all of their pieces together. And let's show you guys the Cross 5 play first. For those who've never seen it, it's very simple. You just pay no memory whatsoever, and you just need to put a Shoutmon. And now that's really nice, because now you can put a Omni Shoutmon or a Shoutmon regular, totally up to you. Now, usually we want to put the original Shoutmon because it gives you rush, so it lets you attack for that same turn, which is why it's really important. Then you put Ballistamon, Darulumon, Starmons, and then you top it off with Sparrowmon at the very bottom to give you your Shoutmon Cross 5 here. Now, what Cross 5 is going to have, it's going to have Security +1, Reboot, Blocker, really good. It has Rush, Piercing, -2k to your opponent's Security Digimon, and Draw 1 when attacking. So Cross 5, you can just very easily just swing in like that. And then, you do all your value combos afterwards, and then it even has Reboot on your opponent's turn, so then you can block for stuff. Okay, so now that is Cross 5 done, let's talk about how you want to do Cross 7. Cross 7 is a little bit different because you don't need this Shoutmon. You actually want to use Omni Shoutmon and Z-Greymon here, and then I believe the rest of it is the same order with Ballista, Darulu, Starmons, and Sparrowmons, and this is how you get into your Cross 7 right here. Now, at most minimum, you will pay 2 memory, but usually you start your turn at 1 anyways. If you have Zenjiro, you pay the 2 memory, you spend Zenjiro, you gain that memory back, and it's still your turn, and you still get to use your Shoutmon Cross 7 to play. Now, Cross 7 is going to do a lot of things, because on play, first and foremost, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with lesser DP than it. And at this moment, because you did the optimal combo, you have 6 sources, meaning you get to delete something with 16k or less, which is basically almost anything in the current game, which is really, really good. Sometimes you don't really get to do the optimal combos and find all these pieces. You may be missing 1 or 2, but in dire situations, you do have to play that Cross 7 just because to establish control, establish your board presence, and be strong at the game pace during that particular time. But anyways, once you have everything, your Cross 7 gets the rush attack. You get to have Security +1. It also has Blocker, Piercing, once again, exact same inheritables, -2k to your opponent's Security Digimon, Draw 1, and Reboot as well. And once you do Reboot to your opponent's turn, it gets Blocker because of Z-Greymon, and Cross 7 is a blue flare in its traits as well. So that's really how you want to go about with the Cross 7 play right here. Really, really cool. Bring out like this boss Digimon on the board and sort of like just have it like with a bunch of different really cool effects is what makes this deck super fun and super cool to play. That'll wrap up for the deck profile for today. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, or questions, be sure to share it with everyone in the comments down below. We've got lots more Digimon videos and content coming, so be sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on that notification bell to stay tuned. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. And Avault signing out.